Morning everyone. In this video we're going to take a detailed look at how Russell presents Mickey as a product of his social class in Blood Brothers. I'll put any useful links down below, and as always there'll be an exam style question at the end for you to have a go at. For this video we're working under the assumption that you've been asked something like, in Blood Brothers, how is the character of Mickey presented? Now it's really important to understand this from the outset. A strong answer should not simply say, Mickey is presented as working class. That's obvious. A much more sophisticated argument is that Russell presents Mickey as someone who is shaped, limited, and ultimately damaged by the class system. The tragic truth of the play is that class doesn't just describe people, it molds them, and for the working class, that shaping is largely negative. Something like that gives you lots of different points to jump off from into your answer. So that's the argument running all the way through this video. Now, one effective way to explore this is to track Mickey's life from childhood to adulthood, and to think about how class affects things such as education, family structure, work, crime, mental health, even childhood innocence. So Russell shows class as a force acting on Mickey, not something that he chooses. Now, one of the clearest early examples of class affecting Mickey comes from the dictionary scene. That scene that every student seems to want to use in every essay ever. Edward says, "Fantastic, when I get home I'll look it up in a dictionary." And this line immediately establishes Edward's assumption of access. Education is something he expects to have at home. Russell presents books and learning as normal and available for Edward, not special or rare. And Mickey replies, "In the what?" And this short question is incredibly revealing. It shows confusion, but I don't think it shows stupidity. The effect of class here is subtle. Mickey hasn't had access to the same educational resources, so the word itself is unfamiliar. In an exam, this quote is useful for showing that class limits opportunity, but not intelligence. And then Mickey tries to recover and he says, "Course I do, it's a thingy, innit?" And the hesitation and filler phrase, thingy, suggests that Mickey's trying to save face. And Russell's showing how working class children often use humour and bravado to mask insecurity, a trait that stays with Mickey way into adulthood. And this moment highlights how class shapes confidence and self-perception, even in childhood. And Edward then explains, a book that explains the meaning of words. And the simplicity of this definition is important. It reinforces that Edward's advantage comes from exposure, not superiority. Russell is criticising a system where knowledge is unevenly distributed from the very start. Remember, they're 7 years old at this point. Another early quotation that shows the effect of class on Mickey comes from when he explains his home situation. He's talking about why Sammy's got a plate in his head. And he says, "Me mum was at work and our Donna Marie was supposed to be looking after him." Now this line immediately tells us that Mrs. Johnstone is a working single mother, meaning she's often absent, not by choice but out of necessity. Russell presents work as survival rather than fulfillment, leaving Mickey without consistent adult supervision. And the phrase, "was supposed to be looking after him," is particularly telling. The word "supposed" suggests that this arrangement isn't reliable. It reinforces the idea that Mickey grows up in a chaotic, under-supervised environment. And Russell is implying that in working class families, children are often forced to grow up early, taking on responsibility before they're ready, an idea that we'll come back to a little bit later on in the video. But this helps to explain many of Mickey's early traits, his limited vocabulary, his swearing, and his mischievous behaviour. Russell presents these not as moral failings, but as learned behaviours shaped by his environment. Class doesn't just affect money, it even affects upbringing. And we also see how institutions treat Mickey when a policeman warns he was about to commit a serious crime, love. It'll be the courts for you or worse. The phrase "or worse" is deliberately vague and threatening. Russell never tells us what worse actually is, which is important. because it shows how authority uses fear rather than fairness. Mickey isn't being guided or corrected here, he's being intimidated. The line also uses the future tense "it'll be," which makes the punishment sound inevitable. Russell suggests that in the eyes of authority, Mickey's future is already decided. There's no sense that he can change, improve, or be helped. And this reflects a wider truth about how working class children are often treated. They're almost expected to fail, rather than supported to succeed. What's especially significant is that this moment happens while Mickey is still young. Russell shows that judgment comes before serious crime, not after it. Institutions don't prevent criminal behaviour, they assume it, which can push children like Mickey further towards the very outcomes they're being warned about. Again, more on that a little bit later. So this quotation isn't just about a policeman being harsh. Russell is criticising a system that labels working class children early, shaping how they are seen and eventually how they see themselves. And this reinforces the idea that class doesn't just limit opportunity, it actively shapes identity and future paths. And at school, the teacher states, "You're both suspended." Now, the bluntness of this sentence is really important. It's a short, declarative statement with no explanation, no reasoning, and no attempt to understand what's happened. Russell shows that punishment comes quickly, but support doesn't. It's also significant that Mickey and Linda are suspended together. Russell presents them as being grouped and labelled in the same way, suggesting that working class students are often treated as a problem to be managed, rather than individuals with different needs. Suspension removes Mickey from education entirely, even if only temporarily. Russell presents education not as a route out of poverty for Mickey, but as another institution that closes doors rather than opening them, contributing directly to his limited future opportunities. This moment also helps explain Mickey's later attitude towards work and authority. Being excluded from education reinforces the idea that the systems are against him, which can lead to disengagement rather than improvement. So just like the police warning earlier, this quotation shows how institutions respond to Mickey by excluding rather than supporting him. Russell is criticising an education system that reinforces class disadvantage instead of challenging it. Now, as an adult, Mickey reflects on work and he says, "I'd crawl back to that job for half the pay and double the hours." Now, the verb crawl is especially important here. We can zoom in on that one. It suggests humiliation and a complete loss of dignity. Russell presents work not as something that gives Mickey pride or purpose, but as something that forces him to beg and degrade himself just to survive. The imbalance in half the pay and double the hours highlights how exploitative this work is. Russell's deliberately exaggerating the unfairness to show how little bargaining power Mickey has. He isn't choosing this job because he wants it, he's willing to accept anything because he has no alternatives. What's significant is that Mickey frames this as something he would do, not something he should do. Russell suggests that for working class people, survival often outweighs fairness. Class limits not just opportunity, but what people feel able to demand or resist. This quotation also helps challenge the idea that unemployment is caused by laziness, an idea that was mentioned once or twice in the Thatcher government of the 80s. Mickey is clearly willing to work, even under extreme conditions. So Russell could be criticising a system where hard work is demanded, but security and respect are not guaranteed in return. This is a good place to weave in your context knowledge about Thatcher, the abandonment of Liverpool, and economic recessions. So when Mickey says he'd crawl back to that job, Russell is exposing the reality of working class labour. Choice is an illusion, and exploitation becomes normal, especially without an education. Class doesn't just affect whether Mickey has a job, it shapes the terms on which he's allowed to survive. Now, Mickey finally explains the difference between himself and Edward when he says, "While no one was looking, I grew up." and you didn't because you didn't need to. This is one of the most powerful moments in the play because Mickey's no longer joking or lashing out. He's explaining his life. And the phrase, while no one was looking, suggests neglect, but not cruelty. Russell's showing that Mickey's childhood passed without protection, not because people didn't care, but because the adults were working and struggling. Mickey was forced to cope on his own. This shows how responsibility arrived early in his life. And when Mickey says, "I grew up," he isn't talking about emotional maturity in a positive sense. He means he had to deal with adult problems too soon. Growing up becomes something that happens to him, rather than a natural stage of life. Russell presents this as a loss, not an achievement. The contrast comes in, and you didn't because you didn't need to. The repetition of didn't highlights the difference between the two boys. Edward didn't stay innocent because he was stronger or wiser. He stayed innocent because his class protected him. So here, Russell could be suggesting that childhood itself is a privilege, and it's not something that everyone gets equally. And through this quotation, Russell makes a wider point. Working class children are often forced to grow up early because of money problems, lack of support and responsibility, while middle class children are shielded from these pressures to some extent. And this reinforces the idea that class doesn't just affect opportunities later in life, it shapes childhood itself. And later, Mickey's tempted into crime when he's offered 50 quid for an hour's work. The first thing to notice here is how specific the amount is. 50 quid sounds like real money, not a vague reward, which makes the offer feel tempting and believable, especially for someone who's struggling financially. Keep in mind this is in the 1980s, so 50 quid for an hour is not bad money. Russell is showing us that this offer is attractive because Mickey needs money, not because he's greedy. The phrase "for an hour's work" makes the crime sound quick and easy, which highlights how dangerous the situation is for someone with no other options. This moment links directly to Mickey's lack of work. When people can't earn money in a normal way, crime can start to look like the only option. Russell's suggesting that poverty pushes people towards crime, rather than crime coming from something like bad character. So this quotation helps us understand that Mickey isn't choosing crime for excitement or pleasure, he's being tempted by desperation. Remember, he's got a wife and a child on the way, which reinforces Russell's message that the class system limits choices and creates situations where working class people are more likely to get into trouble. And then Mickey's struggles when he gets out of prison begin to affect his mental health, which is seen when he demands, "Give me the tablets, I need them." The pause created by the ellipsis is important. It suggests that Mickey is struggling to cope and is emotionally overwhelmed. Russell shows that Mickey is not calm or in control at this point. And the word "need" is especially significant. Mickey doesn't say he wants the tablets, he says he needs them. This suggests dependency, showing that the tablets have become something he relies on just to get through daily life. Now, Russell's not criticising Mickey here. Instead, he's criticising a society that gives Mickey medication rather than real help, such as work or support, or even just a purpose. The tablets treat the symptoms of Mickey's problems, but not the reasons behind them. And this links again back to social class. Mickey's mental health problems are not random. They're caused by long-term stress, unemployment, and lack of opportunity. Russell's suggesting that when people are pushed down for long enough, they don't just lose money, they lose stability and confidence as well. So this quotation shows that class affects more than Mickey's job prospects. It affects his mental health and his sense of control, reinforcing the idea that the class system damages people from the inside as well as the outside. And then Mickey later sums up his life when he says, "Not a job, not a house, nothing." Now this line is short, but it's very powerful. The repetition of the word "not" emphasizes how much Mickey feels he has lost. Instead of describing what he's achieved, Mickey defines his life by absence. It's also important that there were no verbs in this sentence. Mickey isn't shown doing anything or moving forward, he's stuck. Russell uses this structure to reflect how Mickey feels his life has reached a dead end. A job and a house are basic signs of independence and stability. By stating that he doesn't have either, Mickey suggests that he feels he has no place and no purpose in society. And Russell's showing how unemployment affects not just income, but identity. Now, this quotation links back to earlier moments in the play. Mickey's lack of education, his treatment by authority, and his poor job prospects all lead up to this point. Russell is showing the long-term impact of class, rather than as a single bad decision. So when Mickey says nothing, Russell's making it clear that the class system has stripped Mickey of direction, confidence, and hope. His life has been shaped and limited by the circumstances he was born into, and circumstances that he had no choice over. And Mickey also reflects on his lifelong lack of possessions when he says, "It used to be just sweets and ciggies he gave me because I had none of my own." This quotation's important because Mickey's looking back on his childhood and recognising that having nothing was normal for him. The phrase "used to be" suggests that this situation began a long time ago and continued over many years. Russell implies that poverty isn't a short phase in Mickey's life, it's something he grows up with and never fully escapes. This shows deprivation as ongoing, not temporary. The words "none of me own" are especially significant. Mickey isn't talking about luxury items, he's talking about basic, everyday things that he lacks. And Russell's showing that even small possessions feel important because Mickey so rarely had anything for himself, which is highlighting how deeply poverty affects self-worth. It's also telling that Mickey mentions what Eddie gave him. Mickey suggesting that Mickey's grown up depending on others, even for the smallest things, reinforcing the idea that poverty limits independence from an early age. And through this quotation, Russell presents poverty as something that's passed down and repeated, rather than easily escaped. Think about Mrs. Johnstone having to rely on the catalogue man and the finance man. She even owes the milkman money. She depends on others, and that's something that she passes down to her son. Mickey's childhood deprivation connects directly to his adult struggles, reinforcing the idea that the class system traps people in the same patterns across generations, which you can link that into the cyclical structure of the play. Poverty is passed down and repeated. It's inescapable, except through education. But we know how that turned out for Mickey. And then Mickey directly questions inequality when he asks Edward, "How come you got everything and I got nothing?" This question's important because it shows that Mickey is fully aware of how unfair the situation is. He's no longer confused or joking, he's challenging the inequality between them. The contrast between everything and nothing is extreme. Russell deliberately exaggerates the difference to highlight how unequal their lives are, even though they were born on the same day, to the same parents. This shows that background, not ability, has decided their futures. The question "how come" suggests confusion and frustration rather than anger. Mickey isn't blaming Edward personally, he's questioning the system that allowed one of them to have opportunities while the other had none. It's not quite that he's bitter or jealous. And Russell uses this moment to show that inequality becomes most painful when it's recognised. Mickey understands that his lack of success is not just bad luck, but it's the result of his social class. And this makes his situation more tragic, not less. So this quotation's key for understanding Russell's message. Mickey's awareness of injustice forces the audience to question whether society is fair and whether people really start life with equal chances. Which leads on to the narrator saying, "Do we blame superstition for what has come to pass? Or could it be what we, the English, have come to know as class?" Now this is the moment where Russell steps back from the story and speaks directly to the audience. The use of the word blame is important. Russell is asking us who or what should be held responsible for Mickey's life and death, Edward's too. By setting up superstition as one option, he reminds us of ideas like fate and bad luck that have run throughout the play. But it's the second question, the one about class, that's much more direct. Russell suggests that what happened to Mickey wasn't inevitable. It wasn't destiny or personality. It was the class system that was shaping his opportunities from the very beginning. By giving this line to the narrator, Russell creates distance between the audience and the story. He forces us to keep feeling sorry for the characters and start thinking about real-life society instead. This links to his use of epic theatre, where the goal is reflection rather than emotion. This quotation brings the play's message into focus. Russell makes it clear that Mickey's tragedy is not just an individual failure, but a social failure. The audience is left questioning whether the class system is fair and whether similar stories still happen today, which they absolutely do. Nothing has changed, even though 40-odd years have passed since the play was first performed. So by the end of the play, Russell's shown that class doesn't just influence Mickey's life, it defines it. From childhood to adulthood, every stage of Mickey's journey is shaped by inequality, which ultimately leads to his downfall. Now, a couple of exam tips. So when you're writing about characters in the exam, it's important to remember that characters should be treated a bit like real people. Real people don't stay the same. They change over time because of what happens to them. So instead of making simple statements, you should explain why a character behaves the way they do and how their experiences shape who they become. The writers also use characters as vehicles for meaning. And what that means is that characters are not just people in a story, they're a way for the writer to communicate ideas about society, relationships, or issues like class. Mickey isn't just one individual, he represents many working class people who are affected by the same pressures and problems. He's a microcosm for the working class. And this is why it's important to focus on cause and effect in your answers. You should show how things that happen earlier in the play, such as poverty, lack of education, or unfair treatment, lead to changes in a character later on, like Mickey's descent into crime when he runs out of options. This helps you to show that behaviour doesn't just come from nowhere. And when you explain a character, you should always link them to real life. Ask yourself what the writer is trying to say about people in the real world. In Blood Brothers, Russell uses Mickey to show how the class system can shape a person's choices, confidence, and future. And if you can show how a character changes over time, how those changes reflect real people, and how the writer uses that character to deliver a message, you're not just analysing the story, you're showing real understanding of the writer's purpose and intent. And you're really getting to the heart of the story. Now here's an exam-style question that you can use as a practice paper. Any of the quotations or points made in this video tie in quite nicely with the question, so you can give it a good go. And it says, how does Willie Russell present Mickey as a character who is shaped by social class in Blood Brothers? All you need to do is pause the video and get writing. And that's all for today's video. If you found it useful, like and subscribe, and let me know what Blood Brothers videos you'd like next. Thanks for watching, and happy revising.